In animation, I like to limit myself. I want to do this in as many setups as I feel is necessary to tell the story and no more than that. Because imagine if you like get an audience on board with a scene and you have like an over the shoulder, a single, and then like you only stay there the whole time, and then someone says something really nasty to the other person, and you have a wide. That's the only time you've had a wide. Now that means something.
Welcome to our tale! Hello everybody, this is another episode of Art Tale Podcast. I'm Sally, a BFA 3 in character animation, and also...
I am Erika, I am a BFA 4 in character animation.
I'm Sonya, I'm BFA 4 in character animation as well.
Hello, my name is Anthony Paris, and I'm actually a graduate from the CalArts Character Animation program and currently a teacher for the CalArts Enrichment program at Oakwood.
Hi, I'm Portlynn Tagavi. I am a storyboard artist and a director, and I am currently storyboarding at Netflix Feature Animation. And I used to go and teach here.
Woo! She's amazing. She's amazing. You changed my life. Yes. I remember I was actually Portland's student way back in, what was it, 2020?
Yeah, 2020, 2021.
Me too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were
in the same class.
Sonya and I, we were at the Zoom era of CalArts.
Yes.
Remember that, Portland?
I do.
Oh, wait, what was it like, teaching at CalArts? What did you learn the most from helping your students? Since you were a student at CalArts, how did you learn to teach students?
Okay, there's a lot of questions, so I'm going to try and parse through. Thank you. So I've always wanted to teach. I actually thought that if I didn't do art that I would become a teacher. My mom was a teacher, and most of my aunts are retired teachers. So I don't know if you say like it's in my DNA, but I grew up with a lot of that type of energy, and I've just like always been drawn to teaching to my own detriment. Like I would give like unsolicited advice while I was at school, because I don't know what it's like here for everybody, but like currently, but like when I was at CalArts, like people would learn new things and then be like, hey, you freshman, did you know you could do? So I would like, I would have friends get mad at me because I'd be like, I just learned this gradient tool in Photoshop, and that drawing would look so much better if you did this. And like, Portland, I didn't ask for that. No, it's not a bad thing. They didn't ask. I was just excited. And so I've always liked sharing information of like any kind, if it was welcomed or unwelcomed. And then while I was at CalArts, we actually had a I can never say this word. Pedagogy.
Yes.
We had a pedagogy class, and our last assignment in that class was if you could teach a class, what would it be, and make a syllabus for that class. And I made one for like story 1, and I was like, I would teach story 1. This is what I would do. It was way like fantastical. I was like, and then I'd give points, and we'd go to Disneyland, and I would give like free books away. It was very like I bestow upon you gifts. I don't have that much money, so I was like,
You did give us gifts. You showered us with your presents.
oh my gosh.
You gave us a Google Drive. We don't talk about that. Oh my God,
I mean, in a way, yeah, I guess you're right. I did do that, but like, I didn't take anyone to Disneyland, which was like a huge part of the syllabus in particular.
Really?
No, yeah, I don't know why. I was like, I wish someone would take me to Disneyland, so I would do this for students. But so yeah, I've always wanted to teach, and then after like working for a few years, I ended up going back to grad school, and I wasn't gonna. I had not planned to go back to working in animation, but I needed money. And at the same time, I had been like very adamant and like trying to hint at Maya that I was like, I would really love to teach at CalArts if there's ever an opening. And like finally perfectly timed when I graduated from grad school, there was an opening, and I talked to her, and she reached out, and she was like, yeah, this would be great. And so 2019, I started teaching in person, and I didn't have I had like the vague notion of a syllabus, but I didn't really have like a real syllabus.
Wow.
So I had to make a real syllabus. I broke down everything for the semester and the following year, and I made lectures every week
Wow.
before the class. I spent the
Yes.
whole week making that lecture.
Same thing with me for my students, because you taught us
Yeah.
in the university level, but I taught middle schoolers.
Oh, nice.
I taught them. It was like I had to do it at the last second. I was like, wait, what's animation again? Did I learn 4 years of animation just to not know anything?
No,
so I
yeah.
had to learn everything.
Yeah,
Learn everything.
it's great though, because like when you're making lectures, when you're actually like physically having to put together things in a way that you feel is going to be the most effective, it's kind of like reteaching yourself that thing. And so every single week before a class, because I was unemployed at the time, I actually was spending that entire week and I make like very interactive lectures because I had really crazy ADHD, and I remember being in school, and I love learning, and I loved my classes, and our teachers did their best, but I just remember someone like teaching me a very important topic, and I was like, I wish you were more entertaining. Please be more please just say it with like an influence, like something, like anything that would like capture my attention. It would just be very like, and so this is how you extrude,
Yes.
and this is great,
Oh my
and
gosh.
and I'd be like, oh, I really,
Yes.
you're doing your best. and other people learned fine. It was just like me, I needed visuals, I needed
Right.
someone to like have something a little bit more
Right.
involved. So I would like find images and videos and
Yes.
like GIFs, and it was a lot of labor actually. So it would take me that full week to make, and then we would do the class in person. I would get here like an hour or two
Yes.
early in case someone wanted to talk to me. Again, unemployed at the time, so I was like,
Oh,
okay.
relatable. Ooh.
I know, and like and it was like 1 day a week, so I just wanted to be available to students in the way that I wished
Thank
that
you.
my teachers were available.
Yes.
And our teachers at the time were working professionals, so they would get in like late because they were coming from Burbank, and
Right.
and I was like, well, I don't have that, so I'll just be here, and I would set up my like laptop, and I'd log in, and I would have
Right.
I had like a laser pointer, and
Right.
it was a whole
You
show.
did. You went all the way. You always went above and beyond. It has always been felt.
Stories.
Yeah, so if you could talk about your own unique storytelling voice, I guess, because when we look at your films and when we look at your storyboards, there's something very distinct about that. It's very fun, it's very engaging, but also we can connect to it. If you could tell us maybe your process of finding your own personal voice and telling engaging stories that make people care. And I know that's a big question, but you can pick and choose and think, what do you feel is something important that you learned that maybe you can share with students?
I think one of the most important things that I've learned, and we were actually talking about this when I was messaging you, is the difference between plot and story. I know this is like a big, like for me, I like going back down before I get into all of that, is I like to tell stories that are inspired by things that I've experienced. Even if it's not a one-for-one, I pull very aggressively from my own life and from how I think and from who I am and what I wish I saw on screen. But when I went back to grad school, there was like CalArts is very focused on story, but I feel like sometimes the way that we discuss story can still be a little bit amorphous and like, well, we talk about wants, but it's like, but like wanting to get to that side of the room is a want. What do you mean by want? Like a want being more than just a physical, tangible want, a want being like, what does this person want in life? So like understanding character is really important to me, and that's kind of going back to those plot versus story, is that they're two different things. So story is, I think of plot as like reading a newspaper article, like like a family of 5 die in a fire. That's plot. Story is Jennifer, in an attempt to like woo her husband with a romantic evening, you know, accidentally sets fire to their living room and kills her whole family. See that you guys had an emotional reaction to that. Yeah, that's a person who wants something, who's trying to achieve it, and in the end, like, died. You know, like that's a personal. So it's viewing story from the perspective of the characters, what they want, how they go about it, and how the plot is a result of that. Plot is just the events that happen. It's like girl went to store, right? Like girl went to store, robbed bank, whatever. But girl's mom is dying, can't afford bills, like she's always followed the law. This is the last straw, now she's turned to crime. Like that is a story. And I think that's something that really gets me excited, is talking about like these are characters who want things and they're trying to achieve them. And for me in particular, all of my stories are in one way or another about people wanting to feel like they belong. Like people who want to feel like they're accepted by either like trying to be something, trying to hide something, or trying to push people away to prove that that person actually will fight to be with them. Like those are things that I am really interested in, is like the insecurities of being lonely and needing love. So yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I love you too. So yeah, that is kind of, I guess, does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Okay.
totally.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I had like a short follow-up question to that. You were talking about how you drew from like your personal experience. I was wondering, what do you take from your personal experience and what do you create? Like, how do you use your personal experience to tell a story that everybody wants to watch almost? Because it's kind of hard. I feel like we're taught to, draw from your own life, but at the same time, if I just move that on screen, it's still not there yet. Maybe it's the plot is not strong enough. Maybe the character isn't pushed enough. Like, how do you approach developing that idea?
Yeah. So another thing that it's so funny. These are all things I've taught in my class.
Just take your class.
Yeah. No,
I feel like I'm living your class again. Please.
I'm so
please.
sorry. But like, it's less of a one-for-one in terms of life experience. It's not like draw what you know. Like if you're a construction worker, you have to tell stories about being a construction worker. It's about draw what you have felt. So like I know what it's like to feel like an outsider. So I'm able to like get into the mind of a character who feels like an outsider in space, who feels like an outsider in like the police force. Like I can come up with stories about characters as long as I know what it is that they're feeling and I can relate to that. Like, and I take that to varying degrees. Like, for example, the short that I did, They Won't Last, is about a couple they go to a wedding and one wants to marry the other and the other one is really commitment phobic. That was inspired by having neighbors who kept like arguing every day, but like they would have like crazy like makeup sex. And I would just like, I had just been through a breakup and graduated from here and lived on my own for the first time. And I was like, I'm so lonely, but is that the alternative, is like fighting and making up every night at like 3 a.m. and not allowing your neighbors to have any rest? Like, is it getting a dog to save a relationship? That's crazy. So I that idea came from like being like, I'm so lonely and maybe they're in this terrible relationship because being in this terrible relationship is better than being as lonely as I am right now. And so that inspired an idea, which inspired another idea, which ended up being that short film. So it's like even those characters, like both of those characters are having an argument that I've had, where it's like, is marriage valuable? Do you need that to feel like you're being accepted? Like those conversations were inspired. Like nut allergies are included in there. I have a best friend who has a nut allergy and I changed my whole life. Or I just ate less almonds because she lived with me. So like there are like lines in that film that are for those characters, but they're inspired by something I know. It's like, oh my God, he's like, I stopped eating nuts for you, and then or she said I stopped eating nuts for you, and it's like, it's a funny line, but yeah, it's like I stopped eating as many nuts because my friend lived with me because I cared about her, and that's a huge sacrifice for me. So taking something like that and being like, oh, that is kind of funny, I'm gonna put this here. I think if I care, I hope other people will care. Like, excuse me. It's like, I care if other people care about the film, but I mostly care if I feel like it's a film I would watch and made me feel something.
I see. Okay.
And like if this is a movie if I saw this movie and I didn't know that I made it, would I be like, that was a good movie? I liked that. Like, what do I wish I could see right now that I don't feel like I see that I relate to? Like, a lot of my ideas that I try to do are things where I'm like, oh, no one's really done that before, and I think that's funny. And, oh my God, I'm lucky no one's made it before, because maybe I can make it. And then I find out someone made it, and I'm like, oh, I guess it's fine. We're just both smart. I'm kidding. But like, another thing with that is that, when I was in school, I went to school with a bunch of other directors, especially when I went to, because here at CalArts, everyone's a filmmaker, right? And when I was here, I think there was this thing, and it's a struggle that I think a lot of people have, where when they're around a lot of unique individuals who all have very powerful individual voices, and you're trying to get help from each other, if people don't really know how to give notes, they're not really giving you notes, they're giving you notes on how they would make your movie. You know what I mean? Like I can look, even when I was teaching, I would tell everybody, hey, I have a bias to comedy. So I might give you more notes that are like comedy based. Don't listen to me if that doesn't apply to you. And the first thing I would ask is like, what are you going for? Like, what are you trying to achieve? How can we help you with that? Versus like, I think it'd be funnier if like without the gate, like, oh, why does it end this way? Or why does this happen? Like, that might be a better film, but like, are you going to make the film? This person's they're going to have to feel like connected to this. They're going to have to design the characters. They're going to have to make the backgrounds. So like for me, I always, once I got to grad school, because I fell for that trap when I was here. But then when I got to grad school, everyone was distinctly a director. Like here, everyone's a director, but you might want to do character design, people might not. But I was in a directing class. And I was the only one in my class, besides a few people, that were really focused on comedy. And when I made that thesis, I got a lot of notes that I didn't really like, but most of the class agreed that those were the notes I needed. And I remember thinking, I don't know if I heard this somewhere, but someone said, make the people that like it already love it more. Don't make the people that don't like it. You're never gonna win. So you need to find people. Thank you.
Thank you.
So you need to find people who already see what you're going for and can help you, like with that, versus people that just don't get it and are trying to tell you to make like, well, I think it should be a noir, and you're like, well, I'm not going for a noir. I'm going for this. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I think it should be a noir. If you find people like, oh, I love that you're doing this campy comedy. You know what, this would be better if you did it this way. Like, because if this is are you going for camp? Yeah, I'm going for camp. Okay, if you want to make it campier, here's how you could make it campier. Here's how you could do this. I'm actually not getting camp from this scene. Maybe you take it out because it's kind of taking away from like the tone that you're going for, this character, or whatever. So for me, whenever I'm trying to make something from my own life, I'm trying to find stuff that I've experienced that I don't really see people talking as much about, that I would want to see, and that I know that people who like what I would make would like it. I'm not trying to impress other people.
Yeah, we were also thinking about like, because sometimes like we struggle with doing storyboards like in a fast, efficient way. So we were wondering like, what specific process do you have for doing efficient storyboarding? And also something that personally happens a lot to me is that when I am boarding, I am overthinking about everything. Like, should this be the expression, or should this be the correct camera movement? Like, this is telling something to me, but does it look good enough? So I don't know. Do you think like just about the efficiency, but also is intuition more important than planning, or is it a balance for you? Like, how does it work for you?
So I think the script is kind of what tells you everything. Like, so I like when I was here, I actually didn't write scripts because I don't know if you just make it, you just draw it, and you're just like, I drew it, and the story came from the drawing. And I think that's also part of it, and you can like find it in that way as well. But currently in my life, I like to like write something down, and I have a vision for what I like. Are you talking, first of all, are you talking professionally, or are you talking about personally? because they're two kind of different for me.
Well, I don't know if you could like talk a little bit about both.
Okay, I'll talk.
Yeah.
I'll talk personally first.
Yeah.
So personally, I'll write something down. I'll write it out, and then because I work primarily in live action, I still storyboard everything though. And I like to use what I've learned from live action in animation, because I think in animation we have this weird capability of just changing camera angles whenever we want, because
Yeah.
you can, if you could draw it, then I guess so, like, you know, but and you could technically do this in live action, but given the limitations of time and budget, you kind of like, if, like, for example, there was a short that I shot called We're Gonna Die Alone, and we had 3 days to shoot 21 pages, and we had like one house to shoot in and then one other location, and we timed it out, and I was like, I asked my cinematographer, how long do you need, like, how many shots do you think you'll get a day? And he was like, maybe 15. And so you do 15 times 3, that's 45 shots. So in 45 shots, I have to tell this whole story, and I have to allow for it to give me all of the, like it has to be like a wide shot to a close-up shot to an over the, like, how do I get all of the, like, emotional moments that I need from that? And that's different, because, like, I can board it, but, like, I can also shoot every scene in total from each take and mess around and edit, right? But I still think like that in animation. So, like, I was like, we have four setups, and by setups I mean this is where the camera lives the entire thing. Maybe it swivels, maybe it's like, if it's on like a tripod, maybe like it pans, maybe it tilts, whatever. If we're doing steady cam, maybe I'm following a character in and then crossing with them or whatever. But that is a single setup. And we have so many of that because the lighting has to be a certain way, and once we're done with that, they like move production design to light the other side of the room and all that stuff. So you have to think very like strategically because of your limitations, which you don't have in animation. So in animation, I like to limit myself enough to think in a way of like, okay, I want to do this in as many setups as I feel is necessary to tell this story, and no more than that, unless like I pop in for an insert or I do like a special thing which would get the audience's attention. Because imagine if you like get an audience on board with a scene and you have like an over the shoulder, a single, and then like you only stay there the whole time, and then someone says something really nasty to the other person, you have a wide. That's the only time you've had a wide.
Okay.
Now that means something. If you cut to the wide and then the overs and the singles and whatever, and then you cut to that wide, it means nothing.
Yeah.
So like being strategic with how you're like filming something to get people like in a rhythm, so that when you break that rhythm, it says something visually to the audience. That's also something that I'm thinking about. So personally, I'll write something and then I'll think about where the impacts are, how I want to block the scene, and then I try to like what environment I'm imagining, and then I'll like try to see, okay, how much time do I have here? I think we can do like, dream would be like 8 setups. We have like this, maybe he crosses to the other side of the room, so we have to have like a new single there, but do we move the camera?
Right.
So I think about like the logic of that, and I think about like where the arc of the scene is.
Oh, okay.
So like if we start here, what's the climax of the scene? Where's the turning point of the
Right.
scene, and then how do I want to leave the scene?
Like when you say arc, are you meaning like the emotional arc of the scene?
Yeah, or like it could be an informative arc, it could be a character arc. Like every single scene in a short, a film, should like have a meaning to it. Like this is the point this is a scene dedicated to like the guy finding out that his dad is dying, right? So he comes in and he's mad at his dad because his dad won't answer his phone calls, and he's like, well, your house looks disgusting, and his dad's sitting there waiting to tell him something, and the kid is like walking around like, and then he's like, sit down. So now you have him sit down. So now there's like, you start the scene with like one vibe.
Oh.
We don't really know what's going to happen. So you're creating tension, guys, and then every time you cut to him, camera's stable, right? Every time you cut, like, so you're thinking like, okay, what's the emotion I want from this scene?
Right.
I want there to be an impact when the dad tells the son that he's got a terminal diagnosis, right? So how do I make the scene have an emotional arc? Not just on paper, which it would on the script, but visually.
Wow.
Goes from movement maybe to maybe like once he tells the son, we have just like 2, maybe a wide shot. You can do anything, but
Right.
what's the language that you're deciding on? Maybe I would do it in like singles. Maybe they're never in the same shot together until he tells him. And then now we have a 2-shot. And then the son can't move because he's petrified by this emotion, like by his own emotions. And then the dad is like, but it's fine. We're going to get treatment. Or maybe he's not, but maybe he's like, it's okay, I've accepted this. And maybe he starts to stand up. And then he starts like putting away some stuff or just standing there. And now you have a different dynamic with characters. You first started with a character sitting. So it's like thinking about stuff like that. And when I receive a script from work, I'm also trying to think in a certain way in that way. Except I will say when I've worked professionally, there is more of a, no, let's just cut to different stuff. And if that's the case, then, it's the director's film, I'm going to abide. You know, I might think that this is the way that I would shoot the film, but it's not my movie. It is never your movie. You are not going to fix the movie. That is not your job. Your job, in my opinion, other people are different. My opinion is it's my job to show the directors what they're thinking, and if what I show them shows them that that's not the way to go, then I did my job.
Right.
Like, it's up to them it's up to me to show them, hey, is this what you wanted? Actually, I don't like that. Oh, okay. What do you want? We'll do it the other way.
Nice.
And then you do the other thing. Versus like, and then you could show them like, like an alternate version as long as you do the first thing and be like,
Right.
I thought this might, have a little bit more entertainment appeal and more agency for the character, whatever. You could do that. But you have to show them what they asked for. You're not going to fix the movie. No. That is my biggest thing. Is this your job? So I'll board it in the way that I've noticed that the directors like their scenes, which might have a little bit more, but I still try to think of it the same way where it's like, okay, how do I, instead of having like a single and then he walks over and I have a new shot of him walking and then this, I can just have a pan. Limiting camera work. Just allowing like interesting blocking to guide you. And the arc of the scene and like how could it be the most impactful?
That's smart.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I know I rambled a little bit.
No, yeah, it makes sense. And you have to do this like as fast as you can, right? Because of efficiency. So you can't stop and be like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and you have to just be like drawing and thinking it like as fast as you can.
Yeah, I think for me at this point, sorry. I kind of just do it now.
Okay.
I that's not helpful for you. I apologize.
No, it's okay.
But I think that comes from a lot of practice because I used to not be able to do that at all. And I've just had to think this way so often. And even in school, I would spend my whole summers and my winter breaks like studying and drawing and like getting really as good as I felt I could be at a shorthand and like even now like drawing this character I feel okay about it, but like if you give me like an hour to keep drawing it, every time you join a new project you're like still like trying to get the shorthand. My first scenes the character's always like a little too tight and too stiff.
I see.
So but like once I get a good and that's the scene that takes me the longest on the project, but once I get a shorthand I've done this enough to feel like okay, this is where I would do a wide. This is where I feel like, based on the visual language that I've seen from this movie, they might want a close-up here or whatever. So I'll look at some of the other sequences that have like gone through or that, even if they haven't, like scenes that I think are great. And I'll just kind of go into it intuitively on my first pass.
Okay.
And my roughs are really rough. They're so rough that I tell the people, you're going to think that it was a mistake to hire me. But if you let me clean them, it'll be fine. But I think I've actually gotten decent enough to like have a shorthand that works. And so, yeah, but that comes from just doing it a lot. And limiting yourself when you're trying to do it a lot. So like, okay, if you're giving yourself an exercise, how do you tell this, find a script on Blacklist or something and figure out how do I tell this story in 10 setups?
Okay.
How do I tell this in like 12 setups? And like, instead of having like the characters sitting the whole time, where could they go stand? What kind of business can they do? Do they stand up at an important point? Why are they standing? And with expressions, you mentioned expressions. It's like, A mirror is really helpful for me.
Okay.
Just doing a mirror, or like if you're struggling with like how to like caricature an emotion, like it doesn't hurt to look at other people's work and be like, oh, that's interesting how they like did that. And you know, it's, the boards are a means to an end. They're art among, like it's art, but it is a blueprint for someone else to go do stuff. I am not like ego about it. If I need to like, if I'm on a project and someone did a better drawing than I could have done, and I'm like redoing their scene, and I like that, I'm putting that in there. That's if you're on the job. Because like, why do I need, like the directors liked it, I'm putting it in. I'll say this is so-and-so's drawing. I just thought it worked better. Like, it's about crafting something, and if you need to like look at references, that's fine. You know, I have a friend that's really great at horse stuff, but that's because she like looked at a ton of horse. She didn't know horse stuff. But she would like find like videos of horses and draw it in, and now people are like, ooh, she knows how to do storyboards with horses, and it's like she's just copying reference, and that's it. That's great. She's being resourceful.
I see. Okay.
Or looking at a sequence that's similar to the sequence. If you're like, okay, this is how many setups they're doing. Oh, this is what they're doing with the blocking. You can like use that as inspiration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. That helps a lot.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
What sparked you to transition to live action? What was your experience studying at AFI? How was it different from CalArts?
My inspiration is a lot of things. This really amazing artist named Minkyu Lee had been teaching. He went to school here before I started, but everyone knew who he was. And he came here to teach first years for a year while I was a third year, and I would actually like sit in on his class. And that was the year that he came out with this short film that got nominated for an Oscar called Adam and Dog. Yeah. And so he came and he screened it in the Bijou. And during a Q&A, someone asked him how he came up with the idea, and he mentioned that after graduating from CalArts, he actually did 1 year of the live action master's program here. He didn't do 1 year, he did 1 semester. But he had gotten into the master's program here, and he actually developed that idea while he was in that course. And I had always wanted to do live action directing, but I had this whole thought, this is really stupid. When I was a teenager, I was like, there's so many live act, and I love drawing, and I always loved animation. I want to do it since I was 6. But I remember I was like, oh, also bonus, if you make an animated film, it's obviously going to be nominated for an Oscar, because there's like 5 every year. And so like in my dumb child's brain, I was like, I'm going to be a director in animation, because then I'll get an Oscar. It's really stupid. It's so stupid and not real. But like, I had always wanted to do directing in either, and I saw like Tim Burton, I was like, oh, you do that, and then Brad Bird was like, and I was like, oh, so it's interchangeable, and they're similar, but they're also so different. So I'm really glad that I did go to school for it, but I also did the Pixar story internship the summer that The Good Dinosaur had a lot of issues. So it was like being there during that time and seeing kind of a little bit under the hood of what it's really like, and like Brave had come out the year before, and just like, and then like other films with directors in animation where someone had been directing on it for a really long time, it was a personal story, and then it not being theirs anymore for reasons outside of their control and still being made by someone else. And then also like seeing just, you know, I had lofty dreams of working at Pixar and you know, like you're a kid and then you get there and you see people who've worked there for like since Toy Story, and you could see that they had just the same aspirations, but the line is so long, or it's the same repeating 5 people. It's not like that now. Like people I did that internship with are currently directing there, so it's like obviously changed. But at that time, seeing kind of these seeming harsh truths about the industry made me not want to be reliant on essentially an industry where you need tens of hundreds of millions of dollars and a 4-quadrant audience to make your film. Like you have to make a blockbuster film almost at that time. and stories that I wanted to tell were a little more personal or a little more adult in tone and whatnot. So I was like, oh, you know, I would have more freedom if I did live action. And so I don't know. I graduated, I worked for 3 years, I thought about applying, I got really nervous about it, and then on a whim, out of like a fully like imagined like an entire year of anxiety, we're like, you should do it, but I don't wanna, I'm too scared. And then like I had an eye twitch from it where I was like, why is my eye twitching? And it's like, cause you're not doing the thing that you wanna do. And I like finally applied and the eye twitch went away. Yeah, no, it was also like I wanted to do an improv class and I wasn't doing that. And I was like, why am I like just not doing things that I want to do? And then I took that class and it took me like 2 weeks. I was like, I spent like 10 times the time it would take for me to have 20 times the time it would take for me to worry about this class is how long this class was. It was like a 2-week class and I spent like a whole year worrying about it. So I was like, in the time that it's taken for me to be afraid of applying for film school, I could have finished film school. So I finally walked to like an LA, is it called LA Film School? Los Angeles Film School?
Yeah, Laugh Hour or something.
Yeah.
Right?
I walked there and they were like, yeah, you give us money, you get in school. And I was like, wait, really? That's too easy. I don't like that. Does that mean, it's not that like, I think it's great that people have the ability to go to places like that, and some like fantastic films come out of programs like that. But in my mind, having been at CalArts, I really appreciated the students almost more so than the faculty, because the students are who push each other and inspire each other and help each other. And so I felt like applying to my like dream live action school was a better route, because I wanted to be around students that reminded me of the students I had been around here. Because like it's the reason why certain schools have the prestige that they do is because they're attracting certain students who are just like this is what I have to like. So I wanted that, and so I applied, and I actually applied with my senior CalArts film, so an animated film.
Which one was it?
It's called Caught Red-Handed.
I love that film.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
That's inspired by me stealing tampons.
Oh, yes.
I actually did that. That was my last assignment at Pixar. So my last assignment was a personal assignment, and I did Caught Red-Handed at Pixar. It was the only comedy I did, and I think it was the best thing that I had done. And then I was trying to do a real short for my senior year, and then I ran out of time, and I was like, I'll just do this thing I already boarded, and then I made that my last year short. And then that ended up getting me into film school, which is really crazy. So I got in, did not expect that, and it was different than CalArts in a lot of ways. I had never been on set before, but I had storyboarded, but the biggest difference, and I felt like that helped me a lot, was that I could like pre-understand like kind of what I was going for, but I didn't understand the limitations of being on set. I didn't understand that you couldn't just shoot a bunch of stuff. I didn't understand how long it took for camera lighting and all that stuff to get set up, and I had never talked to actors really. Like in voiceover, you're talking to actors and you learn a lot of similar stuff, like don't be results based and like whatever, but you're not really practicing that. Like you have like a workshop in your sound class, right? And that's great. And like if you're making films with sound, which you don't really do until you're like second year, and a lot of people don't even want to do it until their third or fourth year, is because of animating dialogue is difficult. I still don't know how to do it really. And like, so I didn't really do that. And so all of a sudden I'm on set with like a bunch of actors who need to do things, and I need to tell them what to do, and they scare me. And so, no, yeah, I didn't, and I shot first, and I didn't know how to talk to them. And I was like, because you don't want to put them in their head. You don't want to make them insecure. You don't want to make them feel unsafe in the character and like your direction. So I didn't know what to say. So I remember I shot the first like few weeks of school before learning anything about directing actors. And I went up to the actress and I was like, I'm so sorry, I don't know anything yet. Can you just furrow your brow a little bit? And I was like, I know this is not good directing because you're not supposed to do that. And I've never done that since. I listen to Judith Weston's book on directing actors every time I shoot something, because that's the best book for how to talk to actors. And
okay.
I've actually gotten compliments now about my ability to direct actors, so I'm proud, because that was huge for me. I did not know how to do it, because you're alone for, at least at CalArts, you're alone with your computer, drawing expressions and being like, and then they're sad, and then they're kind of less sad, and now they're happy, and then you just like you're viewing it all from like, what does the mouth do? What does the eyes do? How do I? And here you're like setting up the stage for a performer, and you're like, you know, your girlfriend just left you, and now you have to go sling pizzas for 12 hours. And your boss is what's this thing that he needs? And so like, instead of telling him like you're pissed off, you're like, your girlfriend broke up with you.
Okay.
You're like, oh yeah, okay. And then the line happens, you're like, what the fuck? Like, and then, you don't have to be like, you're mad. You don't do that. You don't do that. So that was a big deal. And then talking to crew is huge. Like being a director, I think all around, but like, my experience, you're on set, you have a certain amount of time, and everyone has something going on. Everyone's dealing with little fires all over the place, and you're the one with the vision, and people are gonna be like, I think it's better this way, and you have to be like, either I see what you're saying and I like it, or like, I know that you don't wanna take this camera, or like take that light down, or do this thing that I'm asking you to do because you think this is better, but we need to do this for the story because this is the moment of blah, blah, blah. Like, you need to know everything that you want to be flexible enough to accept improv, like suggestions from people, but also say like no to them when, even if they love it, and be like, hey, I love that you came up with this, and I think this is a really cool visual, but this is what we discussed, and this is what I want for the scene because this moment needs to read this way. So being able to like stand your ground with things without being like an authoritarian, you know, like, or like people being really mean because they're stressed out, and they're like, well, we didn't talk, like they're just like calling you out in front of everybody, and you're like, I need to talk to you in the bathroom, and having like a conversation and being like, you cannot talk to me like that in front of people, like it's like, and you come from animation, you're just like alone, and you have to deal with nobody, and then you're like, when you talk to me like that, you make me look like an asshole. And is that helpful for the entire production today? We have 12 hours left, and we need to get 10 more shots. Like, what do you want to do? Either we argue and get upset at each other, or we get a film done, because everyone's here voluntarily. And then you hug and you make up and you're fine. But like, yeah, it's really different in that way. And then, you know, in terms of work, like literal work, I think animation, at least when I was here, you know, you're learning layout, you're learning 2D, and a lot of animation, especially TV, is very, if you guys familiar with the term like objective versus subjective, it's very objective. It's like, I am an audience looking at a stage performance, and the characters are doing stuff, and it allows for a lot of beautiful full body animation and blah, 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 blah. But like, do I have access to the character's eyes? Am I seeing a moment that no one else in the world of the movie gets to see? Like, sorry, you have beautiful big eyes, so I'm just gonna be like, so like, if someone's talking to you and they're like, hey, I need you to like, you know, replace the grease in the frying pan for the fries, and you're like, okay, and then they leave and the camera stays on you, and you're like, you know, or you have a moment where you're like, oh, I just wish I could be. And then you walk away. That's a subjective moment. That's a moment where like no one else has access to you. That's what allows audiences to feel connected to characters, where they're seeing things that no one else gets to see. They're feeling things that no one else gets to feel. And I found that the first big note I got on the first film I ever did was, you film very objectively. I would shoot a lot of like, when you're like in layout class, and it's like, how do you tell the story? It's like, well, they're feeling really sad, so like we're gonna have like an upshot through like tree branches, and they're all alone in the woods, and they're like looking around. And sure, that like if that was like a framed image and whatever, and you saw that from across the room, you'd be like, that person is in a scary situation. They're low in frame. There's like a bird's eye view. Like, that's very valid storytelling. but then you got to give me like something where it's like, I got to see their eyes. I got to see what like they're feeling at some point. And it depends on your filmmaking style. You could do a very objective filmmaking style, but like knowing the difference, knowing like when you want to use it, when you don't want to use it. Like for example, you know, a lot of The Favorite is shot on like these crazy wide shots, down low, up, like you're seeing everything's in focus. It's crazy, but that doesn't mean there's no close-up shots. It doesn't mean there's no. So I found that even though I had moments like that, I shot very like wide in an animation layout kind of way, where I was like, oh, and then I'm gonna have this like framing them, and that's still great, but I learned to incorporate more of like characters and what they're going through and how I shot it versus having like nice compositions.
It sounds like from what I'm understanding about, thank you. Now I'm understanding more because how you're sharing how you what keeps you grounded in directing as well as your story and managing as a director. It's always with empathy. Is that how you make people care? It's like that emotional arc is that you always are strong with emotions. So maybe is that why you're so good with like people skills and understanding where they come from when it comes to the production side, acting side, all around, because you know how it feels, and especially you as a teacher, because you inspired me and you know how I felt, and I'm doing that with my kids, my friends, everyone, because what came from your heart went to mine, and I'm sharing that with everyone.
Oh, thanks, Anthony. I mean, I really appreciate you saying that. It's really sweet. And I'm really glad that I had any impact, and it's cool to see you teaching and doing everything, because I selfishly hope that things like that happen when like, you know, like you hope that when you do something that you're aspiring to make a positive impact, especially as a teacher, you're hoping that lands with people and it makes them want to like pass it on and do the same. Not that anyone needs to be like me, but I had a teacher at AFI named Rob Spera, and he was the type of teacher that I had been wanting, like very interactive. He's the one that gave me the note about me shooting objectively, and every time he wouldn't hold back notes, but you could always tell that he cared, and that the notes that he was giving was in because he wanted you to do well, even if they were on paper harsh. They never felt harsh out of his mouth. Like we would have students they'd always have questions, and they were like people in my class were characters, and he'd be like, hey, I love you, but shut the fuck up. Like, but it was great, and it was a rapport that they had. No, it was fantastic. He'd be like, hey, you know, I love you, but shut the fuck up. And he'd be like, no, like he would build a rapport with all of his students in such a way where like you could have kind of an open conversation with him whenever we had roll call. Roll call lasted like 20 minutes because he would go person by person and be like, hey, Sally, and you'd be like, I'm here, like, how are you?
Aww.
And then you'd be like, you know, my writer isn't getting back to me, and we need to shoot in 2 weeks, and I don't know what to do, and I'm really frustrated, and I'm really, like, people would cry. I cried. And you would complain, or you would be like, or you'd be like, you'd share your win. Well, like, you know what, I did a bunch of cold calls this week, and I'm really excited. I have a meeting with an assistant at the Apatow production studio. And you'd be like, that's great. How'd you get that? Like, and it would become like a mini lesson where, like, whether you're doing really well that week or whether you have a struggle that week or going through it, he would use it as an opportunity to, you know, teach something. He'd be like, that's great. So everyone noticed how, like, so what did you do in your cold call? Well, I did this. Everybody noticed how this person did this during the cold call. And when is your meeting? It's in this day. He's like, okay, great. What I would say to you is that, and you would just like, it would be this really wonderful kind of therapeutic experience that allowed for everyone to kind of, because we didn't get to talk to each other very much because we were all so busy. So we kind of got to learn from each other indirectly through him asking people questions, and he got to make you feel like someone was paying attention to your struggles by asking you how you were doing. And I never had time to do that in our classes, but I always wished I did because I really appreciated them. And no, I I really valued how he taught, and so the very next year when I went into teaching, I already kind of felt like that was the way that I embodied how I taught people, but I would steal things from him, like how he would make people feel seen, or how he would, you know, he was tough. And I really respected that. And so every time I would teach, I would never hold back critique, because I felt like that was a disservice to hold back critique, but I would never try to give it in a way that would make anyone feel ashamed or like they had done a bad job, or that they couldn't do it, or that they were like none of that's helpful, and none of that's necessary, and no one deserves that. Even people who are really, really, really struggling, they have the capability of learning and growing. And I felt like, for me, as someone in that class who had never been on set before, I made so many mistakes, and instead of being like, why are you doing this? He was like, you do this. Do you notice you do this?
Good.
You know, things like
That's
that.
really good.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like that happened, and then I taught, and now like you're teaching. And so like hopefully it continues, or I don't know. It doesn't even need to be like you teach, just showing empathy when you're, you know, sharing information or helping someone out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have another question, I guess, in this section. How did your story skills successfully translate and help you to become your own filmmaker?
A lot. I think, like going back to school, I will say I think I was the only one in my class that had an animation background in the directing department, and having that ability, and also storyboarding, and having done the Pixar internship, and having focused here on story for at least like 2-3 years, I felt like in some ways I was disadvantaged in a lot of ways, but I was advantaged in like understanding story. That was like where I felt like I really knew what I was talking about. I didn't know how to block, light, rehearse, shoot. I didn't know any of that, but for that I could at least prep with my cinematographers. You know, we would storyboard together with editors. Even I was in this program called Project Involved with Film Independent in 2024, and I guess last year. And we got to work with writers, producers, editors. Like it's almost like a mini AFI. And our amazing editor Olivia, I strive to do this. It doesn't always happen, but I like to actually storyboard the script and like give it to the editor and have them like make an animatic if they can, if we have time. And I asked her if she could do that. She made one real quick for us, added music. It was fantastic. And I was like, is there any shots you feel like are missing? Like from this, putting it together, is there something like you watch it, you crave like a different type, almost like working professionally, where like, you know, you give it to the director and then they're like, we should have a 2-shot here. We should have like a single, or like, why are we cutting here? Like we should do this. And she was like, we need a 2-shot here. And so like we actually added and like shifted around our shooting schedule or our shot list, because we were able to visualize what we wanted and have the editor put it together and give her input. And then it also has been super helpful in terms of getting everyone on the same page, like to have drawing capabilities. Like I will make this isn't standard for every director, but the way I like to work is I make like a Bible where I like have all the type, like this is the type of character that I want. Here are the clothing. I have a costume designer that I've worked with like ever since school, and she's amazing, and she finds everything I want like to the T. It's fantastic. Wow. And I'll just like I would draw out kind of like what I was going for, what I was looking for, how I wanted it together. And I would send it to her, and she would find those things with hair and stuff. I would like make tweaks here. I'd use Photoshop. And then obviously, oh my God, I used to make a lot of artwork for like production design, because you can't have uncleared work in your film. So I would make all that stuff, or having friends that did art, I would have them do that. But mostly coming from like CalArts and having an animation background allowed for me to have those extra skills that allowed for me to like communicate to the team, because everyone can read the same script and have like as many of us that are here, like that would be how many different versions of that film exist, because everyone could read the same script and think they know what they're taught, like think that they're all on the same page, but they all have their own version of the movie in their mind. And so when I'm able to visualize what I have for everyone, that saves so much time and headache. On the first film that I ever did, we all thought we were making the same movie, and we were not, and it was not great, and people were very disappointed when we were finished. Even though it was my like personal story, it was like, oh, I need to make this as clear as possible for everyone. And then in terms of like storytelling, I felt like because of animation being so commercially prevalent as a medium in this country in particular, the way that at least we learned here is like how, like, first of all, like simplicity and clarity. But we're thinking simplicity and clarity because I think it's great storytelling, but also because it is accessible. Like, you could make really great art that's not simple and not clear. Like, that exists too. But what are you going for, right? Like, we are a very like wide general audience medium in this country. And so when you're learning storyboarding and when you're learning, like, everything surrounds clarity and simplicity. Even like complex and complicated are two different things. You can have complex characters. You don't really want complicated characters, right? You want the audience to understand what they're looking at, but you want them to see that it's interesting. There is complexity there.
Portlynn, a follow-up question on that. So when you say clear and simple, what do you mean specifically on that? What is a simple story? What is a simple character? How do you not be too like simple? If that makes sense.
So you want like simple stories, complex characters. So you don't want the plot to be complex. That's gonna get you, because then it's like, and then this person's doing this, and that's happening over there, and blah 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 blah. Like, then you never want the audience to be lost.
Yes.
You don't want the audience to be like, and then who did what, and why did this happen, and why are they like if there's rules to the world, you don't want the audience to sit there being like, why is that person flying? That person had wings this whole time? What do you mean? And why are there aliens? Are there aliens and unicorns and what's going on? No. You want, if you're gonna explain something to people, and it's not that you can't have a world that has all those things, but how do you make those? Do you focus on all of them? Is it necessary to focus on all of them? Like, currently, I was studying for fun Boogie Nights, and I watched the movie a couple times, and then I started reading the script, and I was watching a bunch of like behind the scenes stuff, and there are so many scenes that are gone from that movie. That movie was about all of those people that were working in the porn industry as like a family. And so like each character kind of has like little vignettes throughout the film. Like, Buck is like really into Western outfits at the beginning. He works at an electronics store. Yeah, Don Cheadle's character. So alumni of CalArts. But you know, every character had other vignettes later in the film that actually were like deleted or removed. And I'm reading the script now, and I'm seeing there's so many other scenes that go through like other characters' experiences that are perfectly fine, but kind of took focus away from what was important, which was Dirk Diggler's story.
Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Is it Matt Damon or Mark?
Mark Wahlberg. Yeah.
Marky Mark. Okay.
Yeah.
Him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you see, like, they shot a lot of it, but at the same time, they recognize that, like, simple clarity.
Right.
Clarity is, this film is about a family, but we're following Dirk Diggler. We get to have these other characters. They're part of the family that he's been ingratiated into, and that sets the stakes of what he loses if he loses these people. But we don't need to have every vignette of every single character throughout the film. There's a character, I forget her name, but she gets married, and there's a deleted scene where the husband she marries is beating her, and she has to, like, kill him.
Wow.
Or at least knock him over the head with something that I imagine might have killed him.
Right.
But that's not in the movie. And I actually think I personally, I like the concept of it not being in the movie, because at least in my world, she gets to go on and build her own family. But, you know, it's dark. It adds an extra darkness that it's like, did you want that in your film? So it's like clarity of like, what is it that you're trying to say, and how does everything that you're trying to say funnel into that? If it does, then fine. If it takes the audience's attention too far away, even if it's related. It could be related,
Right.
but maybe it's like, well, not like I have a friend who just did a film, and she just recently, deleted some scenes that I thought were great, but they focused the film on on one character versus many characters. And so for me, it's like simplicity of story. So what is the story about? But complexity of characters in terms of like I don't want to know what I'm watching before I watch it. I don't want to know that this character is obviously going to make this choice.
Like it's predictable.
Yeah, predictability.
There's no reason why you want to be engaged because you know what's going to happen. It's
Yeah.
derivative. It's boring.
Yeah. So if like you have a character walk into a room filled with like let's just be like misogynistic for a second. It's a man and he walks into a room of beautiful women and they're like, hey, and they're like ready to like ravish him. And he's like, okay, goodbye. Like that's interesting. That's interesting. That's why is he like that? We have been taught, societally that if you walk into a room with like anybody who you're attracted to and they're like ready to go, you'd be ready to go, right? Or if he's like, oh yeah, just another Tuesday, like, okay, that's also interesting. Like, who are these characters? Why are they specific?
Makes you wonder. Makes you question what's going on. Why is he like that? What makes me care is to make the audience care and follow what is the question that the character wants.
Well, yeah, what do they want? Which is also like, that's also part of it. But I guess the real world is specificity. So like complex isn't, I think, the right word right now, but like specificity of character. And specificity of character allows for you to create complex characters who have inner worlds, and maybe they hate hospitals, but they love nurses because their mom was, but they hate hospitals because maybe they lost someone in a hospital. Like their inner world can be complex and have reasons for this that allow for you to like make characters that get into binds when they're in situations that might seem like if a character is put between two decisions and you know for a fact the decision they're going to make, that's not an interesting character to watch. You need to see them struggle to make one, or you have to put them in situations that allow for them to struggle, where it's like, my wife's about to give birth, but like my rival owns this hospital, and if he sees me, he's gonna like kill me. Or like maybe this mob boss is in this hospital, he owns this hospital, and if he sees me, he's gonna kill me, but my wife is gonna die if I don't take her to this hospital. Do I risk my life and take her to this hospital, or like risk her life and drive 20 miles somewhere else to another hospital?
Oh, like the stakes.
The stakes. And that's also like, but there are no stakes if there's nothing personal for him. Like if he doesn't care about his wife, that's also interesting, but like now it's just like he's just a douchebag who like putting your characters in like situations that allow for the complexity of their situation, who they are and their wants.
How do they get out of it?
How do they get out of it, or they don't get out of it? What do they choose? Those types of things. I'm rambling, so like, but yeah, I feel like that's what allows people to feel empathy for characters, is understanding where they're coming from, why they're making decisions, or at least trusting that you understand that these characters have reasons for why they're making decisions that are interesting to you and you're willing to find out.
This is why I love you, Portlynn, because you make me like so inspired. I feel smarter.
No, yeah, but all that makes sense. Thank you so much for.
Of course. Thank you.
No, yeah, this is great. We're just being like blown away. We're like, whoa, okay. Okay, so we're heading to like the end of the questions. So this is more related to us as students, so some advice that you have for us. And a specific question that we had is, especially for Sonya and I, who are 4 years, and many of our classmates are very burnt out. So if you have any advice about how to deal with burnt out and how to not lose your true self as an artist, if you have like any advice on that, we would really appreciate it.
Oh man, I just went through burnout. It took me a whole year to get out of it, so I empathize a lot. I think for me, burnout is tricky because we live in a society that we just live in a society. I think it's hard because I think we're taught right now to basically be entrepreneurs constantly. There's a culture of like, the rise and grind, or like if you're not working hard enough, someone else will. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I think it's one of those things where we had that, but it was like, I don't know what exactly it's like here now, because it's obviously not going to be the same that it was 10 years ago, but we applied pressure on each other.
Yeah, I feel that keeps happening a lot.
Yeah, but it was like, I want to be blown away. Please blow me away. Please make art that impresses me. Like we wanted everyone to be amazing. And it gets kind of muddied and like becomes a hierarchy, and people will be more respectful to others than to others, but you want to do well and you want to impress your friends. And so we were motivated by that, and it was almost like a lifeblood. And the industry was different. So the industry was like, you knew that if you could do anything, you could work. And I think the difference now is, I imagine you guys are also burnt out because you're stressed about like what happens when you leave.
Yeah, exactly. That's something that like has been affecting, I think, not only our class but previous classes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that
No.
It feels like all this work, but for what?
Yes.
Like
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Oh no, I get you. I mean, that's why I make films on the side. Like genuinely, I love animation, and you know, sometimes people ask me like, would you ever direct an animation? And I would. I'm just like really skeptical about. And I talk to people about it, and I would love to, genuinely. They can please give me a movie. I'm joking, but like, there is this weirdness that's happening right now everywhere. Like projects that are, you know, greenlit for years being canceled, like from out of nowhere, or people that aren't creative leads. Like it's corporate. Like corporate is making decisions that are affecting how people continue to have jobs or not. And so that's a huge component as to why I make stuff on the side, as to why I make my own work, and as much as I love animation, why I make live action projects, because of the freedoms that come with it. So my thing, and I'll say this to anybody, is like, you might, but I'm wary of anyone I've ever known or ever will meet who gets their satisfaction from their job. And that's different because you have the luxury of having a job. But it's like, if you can still create stuff for yourself, that is the only way to feel okay. And to feel like to survive, in my opinion. And when it comes to burnout, I think it's like, take your time if you can, and make the work that you want when you can. The job market is gonna be really fucked for a bit, it seems. So where do you find joy? What keeps you excited about what you're making?
Okay.
Is it through teaching? Is it through making your own work? Is it through getting a job that's adjacent to the industry and doesn't make you want to pull your hair out, and making your own comics or making your own shorts? Like, what keeps you alive that if it doesn't pay you, can fulfill you? Because, you know, you will just most likely not feel fulfilled from the job, even when you get the job. Because if you're burnt out now, it's a different kind of burnout. And it's a sustainable burnout, and you can go to the spa with the money that you got from your job that burns you out. But my whole thing is, be creative for yourself when you can. And find other people that you can stay in touch with and be creative together. And then feel safe even not making stuff. Go have life experiences. Like if you can, travel. If you can't, go to a park somewhere, meet new people, go to a coffee shop, make a hub for yourself, watch movies with friends, have life experiences, learn puppetry. like as much as like you're working in like learning how to draw and learning how to animate and learning how to tell stories, this is not your whole life. Your whole life will be so many more things. I just got into traveling, which I've never done because I was in school all my 20s, and then the pandemic happened, and then I went to France, and I was like, wow, the food here is great. It's just butter, but it's amazing. I want to cook now. Should I cook? And now I'm into cooking. And so like, do what gives you joy. Find joy in whatever you're doing, because being burnt out, and also being burnt out is just something you have to go through. If you're burnt out, just allow yourself to be burnt out, and however that affects you, just be okay with yourself. Because I was burnt out for a whole year. I couldn't hold a conversation with anyone.
Oh,
I would I would avoid going to school. It's okay, not school. Thank you, Anthony. I would avoid going to work in person. I have the luxury of being able to work from home, but I avoided like going in person sometimes because I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna run into somebody, and then I'm not gonna know how to say hello anymore, and then they're gonna ask me how I'm doing, and I'm gonna be like, how are you? They're gonna say hey, and I'm gonna be like, I'm fine. Like, you know, one of those things.
Yeah.
Like, so it wasn't until I like did something for me after a year and like took a break and like didn't talk to anybody and just rested that I was able to kind of feel more like myself. But it took a while.
Yeah, makes sense.
And that's okay, and that's normal.
Okay.
You're doing a lot, and you're under a lot of pressure, and there's like a lot. It's your last year, you know. You want to do so many things. You want to learn so many things. You want to be ready for the job market.
Yes.
And like do what you can now. Like whatever. Like I will say this: work really hard now, because you are paying money. You're paying money to be burnt out.
Okay.
You are paying money to have the freedom to not need to look for a job right now. You are paying money to be surrounded every day by people like you who are just as passionate and excited as you. Ask them questions, show them your work, make as many things as you can here, or like really like challenge yourself while you're here, because once you're out of here, that's a different part of your life.
Okay.
So it's okay. Like, that's my advice. Like, I could be, if this doesn't work for you, don't take it. If you're like, I'm burnt out and I want to die, this is the worst advice I've ever gotten. Don't take it. Go take a nap. But like, like, I always thought, I am paying money to do this. I want to get as much out of this as possible, and I will rest later.
After.
Good.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying don't sleep. Sleep, please.
Oh no,
Yes,
please. But
I'm just saying, like, when you have free time, like, sketch.
yes.
Work on your skills. Talk to people. Show them stuff.
Yes.
Sleep 8 hours a day. But, like, this is your time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope that's helpful.
No, yeah, it makes total sense. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
and no, even if I try not to sleep, I can't do it anymore.
No, don't do that. I won't. Like, as much as I'm like, you're paying, but like, do sleep.
Yes.
There was a guy in my the year below me. He's really amazing board artist. He works at Disney. His name's Seth Boyd, and he
Oh, wow.
went to
Seth.
sleep.
I saw him at Disney.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
he went to sleep like every single day at 10 and woke up at whatever time, and he had a normal sleep schedule,
great.
and he made a student Oscar-winning film.
Wow.
Right.
So
Right.
we were all jealous of Seth, and he took guitar lessons at the same
Wow.
time.
How did he do that?
I don't know.
Yes.
Don't compare yourself to
No,
Seth.
it's different.
But like, it's possible to sleep is all I'm saying.
Okay.
I couldn't have taken guitar lessons, but do what you can to maximize what you want out of this
I see.
experience. If there's something that you feel like you're not getting yet, try to get it. You know, if there's a class that you didn't get into but you have time to sit in on it, ask to sit in on it.
Okay.
You know, this is your time. Be selfish. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Portlynn.
Yeah, of course.
So, but then how do you balance because you obviously got to take care of yourself when it comes to burnout, because how do you not force yourself into doing something that makes you uncomfortable, but knowing when to listen when something is productively good, like for example working, like you need to push yourself.
I think it really depends on what works best for you. Some people, you know, just go. I'll use myself as an example, if that's okay. So I was doing Project Involve while working full time, and I had started a relationship that was roughly a year in, but he lived like an hour away and didn't have a car. And so I was balancing job, and I just did, I'm wearing my shirt, my apprenticeship program shirt. So I had done the apprenticeship program at Netflix. I was in charge of the program, and we had just finished, and I was burnt out from that. And then literally the last week of that program, got a call from, or got a Zoom interview for Project Involve, and they were like, "You got it." And I was not very, I was actually not happy about it because it's a once in a lifetime kind of thing. If you get in or if you do it, you can't do it ever again. You can only do it once. And I really wanted to do it, but I didn't think I'd get in. So I was like ready for a break, and I didn't, and that was like 4 months. So I similar to CalArts, I was making lectures every week as we were going, and we wrote like for that program, I wrote the first act of a movie while they were like drawing it. So I would write like the first 15 pages, launch them, and then they would do it. And then I would, while they were doing it, write the next 15 pages. And then we pitched it to the studio, and it was like a whole thing. And it was great. It was very exhausting. I would spend like my weekends doing nothing. I would just like close my blinds and just watch nothing. Like I would just get really high and watch nothing. So like, sorry, but like I just turned my brain off. That was my version of that. So like I had to do that, and then I got in this program, and I was like, this is gonna be a lot of work, and it really, really was. It was like driving to my boyfriend's house, casting, and then my best friend was getting married, and like doing all of those things, driving, calls, and then we would meet with Project Involved 2 to 3 times a week, sitting in on those, giving notes, making pitch decks, doing my assignments every week. It was a lot, and I remember I wasn't able to sleep, and I was like very dead. And it made me not want to, I was almost like, I don't know if I want to do this. Like going to location scouts, like after work or like during lunch breaks, and like popping on to Zoom meeting or whatever, and then like having like amazing like CalArts students of mine who had never been on set before being like, I want to be on set, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, thank you, and they would help me. And I would, so nice. It was so nice. I would like try to like feed them and but like bringing snacks for that, like trying to do everything, trying to do it all is impossible.
Yes, you can't.
And it made me not enjoy myself. And it was one of those things where it's like when you feel like you're not having fun anymore, that's when you should reassess.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like if you're not having fun, and I was not having fun, but then it's like, it's not that I'm not having fun because I don't like this. I'm not having fun because my life is not balanced at all. And like now my boyfriend lives with me, and so I don't have to like, the amount of like effort it takes to go see a person is crazy. And now I feel like way more balanced. Like my best friend who like, she was my roommate, she moved like, she wasn't even far away, but now she's my neighbor, like literally my neighbor. So like now things are more, like my life is less effortful, and seeing people and like getting the needs I need socially and like with like personal life stuff. Now I can put more effort into the other stuff, because then everything was effort. I had to put effort into everything, like really big effort. And not that like you shouldn't put effort into the like your loved ones and whatever, but I realized that I was stretched way too thin. And so to your question where it's like, how do you keep it balanced? I think it's like, where am I putting a lot of energy to do stuff? Can I make the things that are healthy for me more accessible in my life? Is there a way for me to do both? Like I work from home, and I'm really grateful for being able to work from home because I get all my assignments done, but that doesn't mean that I work from 9 to 5. I like take a bath in the middle of the day. I go to the gym, and I get home and I don't have to worry about how I smell, because now I can just go to my desk and like work a little bit and then take a bath at lunchtime, and like I can be more flexible. That's a privilege that I have, but it allows for me to like do stuff. Like when I was teaching you, I was making a film, I was teaching, and I was, doing other stuff, but that was because everything was remote. So I was able to do so finding ways that allow for you to like if you do go in the office and you need time, like, can you make a little rest area for yourself to take naps if you need them, or if you're allowed to do that? You know, like I had a dog bed in my first job, and I would like sleep on it, and or like what are the things, like I struggle with brushing my teeth if there isn't a toothbrush around me, so I have floss everywhere and like toothbrushes everywhere, and like it's so that I can balance myself. Or like reminders, like, okay, like go on a walk, or like if you're bad at like doing walks on your own, like maybe find a buddy that's like, hey, it's like this time, walk time. Okay, that's helpful. So like, where are your weaknesses, and how do you find incentives to allow for you to like get what you need that doesn't make you have to do it? You're like, put effort in. Because again, I have ADHD.
Me too.
Yeah. And so the more effort it takes for me to think about stuff to do, and the less like if there's food in front of you, you're gonna eat it. If there's food in the kitchen, I gotta get up. I gotta go. I gotta do stuff. So for me, it's like, how do I make things convenient for myself?
Yeah, it's trying like to getting to know yourself and then accommodate your life.
Yes.
For that to be easier and more comfortable, and that you're more happy at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is so insightful and very applicable for us right now.
Okay, cool.
Thank you so much.
Yay!
Thank you so much, Portlynn, for joining us today. And then I think we all learned a lot from storyboarding to life. It always comes to life in the end somehow. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for watching.
Thanks for having me.